Yash, where's your flight? Where are you flying and when?
I'm always flying, you know that. I'm just been in Melbourne for a few days, got a couple of events on doing, interesting discussions going on. And look, met some really great early stage companies here, AI companies this morning. So, yeah, lots happening.
When you have a flight to catch, are you right now in the airport?
Yeah, just in the lounge, hidden away. So, yeah.
All right, all right. So we'll do a quick little one.
I had an event last night, consumed lots of wine and food and spent all the day doing that. And when I came back, there was an email from someone who used to work in Google in my inbox. I shared that there was a video with Eric Schmidt last night that I thought was interesting. Why don't we kick off with that?
Did you watch it?
I watched it, but I also went to rewatch it and it was removed. So I think that's the interesting thing. That the video, I haven't been able to see if it's still there. Maybe we could try and dig it up if it is. But there was a really interesting sort of hour-long video between Eric Schmidt, who's no longer officially wearing his Google hat, and just talk about the implications of AI. But I know you watched it as well, didn't you?
I did. I like Eric. Eric is, I think, very thoughtful. He's a true Silicon Valley guy. He's the ex-CEO of Novell, which was like a networking company. Was famous back in its days, early internet. And of course, 2001, he was lucky enough to be installed as the responsible adult.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Adult in the room.
For two young 20-something PhD students from Stanford, he was building a search engine that called Google. And I think for 16 years or something.
Yeah, I reckon that could be you, Drew. You could be the adult in the room eventually.
Maybe that might be coming.
Yeah,
I like it. Did pretty well with that position, if you know what I mean. Google went crazy. And now he's VC. He's no longer on Google. And he goes to Stanford. He still teaches a course there. And one of his colleagues who teach economics course, bring him along for a chat with the students. He has only 40 minutes. They ask him a bunch of questions. He answers, and it goes online, and it goes viral because the things he said, not really recognizing that this might end up on the internet. And then a few hours later, maybe a day later, there's like 50 articles about it. The video of the talk is gone. So it's a classic little internet moment there.
So what was it said? Like, let's maybe just quickly touch on.
He said a few things that he might have not said to the audience of the world. So he was asked, how come Google AI is so crappy? Something like that. And he said a very non-politically correct response and very non-woke response, which is he reckons that Google now prioritize mental health and work from home and the comfort of its employees or something like that, as opposed to winning. And it's pretty true, but no one wants to say it because it makes some people sad, but it's 100% true. You can't actually run a company with thousands of people and compete on hundreds of different products and niches where your employee work from home and comes once a day to the office and play games, and it's really like a summer camp as opposed to an office. You can, where you're competing with another company like that. But when there's like a focused entrepreneur, founder-led organization like OpenAI that literally brings all the top talent in that space, they're going to beat you out of the park because they're going to work 18 hours a day. And he kind of said that, and everyone was like, okay, moving on, makes sense. But then the media really got like, Eric Schmidt, video of Eric Schmidt blaming remote work for Google's woes mysteriously vanish. It became articles in all sorts of outlets. I like that.
Yeah, look, I think it was interesting because it felt like quite an honest, observation of what's happening and why in terms of an AI space, they're not quite where they need to be. I do think they kickstarted a bit, but yeah, we sort of highlighted that. But it was interesting hearing that from someone who was, running the show. Let's cover up the prediction because I know there's controversy about that. I think the honesty was good. I think it's just the fact that he's, got some pretty strong views on where they're going, or where AI is going. And so why don't we just talk about a few of the areas that he touched on, starting with this sort of issue around context windows. And so for those of you, we have these, I guess, context windows are the amount of information you can put in into some of these large language models, and it understands and remembers those bits of information. So you can put multiple books now into some of the large language models, and really the fact that's grown quite significantly bigger than what people thought it was going to be. So yeah, look, I think that was quite an interesting thing around how some of the big predictions around how having that larger context window is going to allow a lot more sort of the concept of text to actions, and rather than just generating text, being able to perform tasks and make decisions. We've been talking about these agents being that next sort of big thing, but I thought that was really interesting, and talking about how that's going to revolutionize a lot of sectors, and we're going to have these agents that go out of their models. And we also see that happening with code and programs, and what that could mean to be able to generate programs automatically out of just talking to the models. What was your sort of thoughts on that short-term prediction around how that's going to keep growing? That context windows and what that means.
No, I think I think there's two separate points here. He's making one point is that the big window is a game changer, because it means that you don't need to retrain on current event, for example. So you can, and I think there will be in the future, they will invent the system that constantly train. I don't see a reason why they wouldn't for now. But for argument's sake, for now, it takes 18 months to train a large language model, the frontier models. And by the time it's trained, 6 months preparation, 6 months deployment, 6 months fine tuning of the training process. And then by the time it's deployed, it's no longer trained on the most current things, most current systems, as well as news or whatever, state of the world. But if you've got a massive context window, that is a solution, because you can fit it the equivalent of 20 books. So you can fit it the equivalent of, like, here is all the news in the last year, and now based on this, that's a part of the query. Now, the committee says that frontier models are still not so good in these massive context windows, but he believes they will get there. And then he made the point, which I think was very interesting, which every 6 months he oscillates between, I believe that the gap between open source and frontier models is going to shrink versus it's going to widen. And now he believes it's going to widen. And the reason is that just the astronomical cost of training those frontier models means that there is no open source competitive that can pull the $300 billion. That's what he says. Like the top estimation right now, it's going to cost $300 billion to train a frontier model in the next few years. So you show me an open source project that can do that. On the flip of that, there's technological innovation that's going to make make it better, faster, etc. That's why he's believing it. Lacta is changing his mind every 6 months. For example, federated learning, that you don't have to put all the energy and the compute into one spot. You can, a little bit like Bitcoin, you can kind of you can hash it in every piece of any available computer. Something along the line of federated learning, on continuous federated training, continuous training. These things are innovations that will change, including new mathematics that will make training. Long story short, there's frontier models are getting more expensive, and that's a create a centralization of resources and money and energy that it takes, and there can only be a few of those in the world. Now, meanwhile, the technology gets better, faster, cheaper. So there's these two forces working against each other. And, that's why he's changing his mind every 6 months about will open source ever, match frontier or not. I think no one can forecast the future. So that's what makes life interesting. But I do think that if the current technology is what the end game for AI is, which why would it be? But anyway, then obviously it's going to centralize into a few big players. And, then he make the point that he wants those players to be American as opposed to Chinese or Russians. Then he makes the point that the thing that really is most inspiring and scary in a way, and things we're not planned to, is the stuff we talked about in this our great show. Shows how great thought leaders we are as well, which we say text to action, meaning converting simple English to computer code that can execute in cloud. And you can do that when your context window is huge. You can do that in a very quick. You can generate very big software. Now, right now, at this point in time, they are not This doesn't exist yet. All right, it's a hypothesis that it will become, it will be possible, and there's a good argument why it would, and maybe there are some arguments why it won't. So we have to kind of wait and see. But when it is possible for every person to convert their free language descriptions to functioning code, then we have not yet seen what the world looks like. And he gives an example. He says, imagine that you could just tell the AI, build me a clone of Google, and just make it better. And in 30 seconds, it can actually deploy such a system to the, you know, and run with it. A bit far-fetched. I don't know. What do you think?
Look, I think I think there's a valid point. We're going to be able to execute and create these applications. We've got one in our portfolio already. You know, idea the app, creating an app. Now this is just straight out of that, and we're going to see this, whether it be through agents or through code. We're going to see this. So it's exactly what we're saying as well. I think it's just a timeline of when this happens and how effective it is, what the scope of that will be. Let's continue on, because there was just kind of a few other points. I think what I'd love to have in this discussion is around what does that mean to the average person, or for the people who are developing, for founders that are working in this space. What does that mean? You know, because I think all these things are great technology wise, and how it's going to really go closed and open. But I think sometimes maybe our discussion should also be about what does that mean for the kind of businesses that are being built, and you know, where we look to invest as well. And I mean, we've placed a bet on that large language model side of thing with Anthropic. We look at, we all don't really know, but we do see that sort of this sort of divergence of things, and whether those smaller models will work for certain use cases. You know, for some kind of things, the larger model approach will work well, and otherwise it might be smaller open source models, and it might be on device. So yeah, I think that's it. I think the other interesting thing was the discussion around NVIDIA. What was your sort of take on what he was saying there, and whether that was, you know, there's a lot of talk about peak NVIDIA, and you know, I had this discussion at a dinner with a lot of investors last night, is would people invest more money in NVIDIA, or is it, where are they going? And as he talked, you'll probably explain it better than I can, but around, you know, NVIDIA's moat that they have, and it isn't the chip necessarily. So
yeah, it's not the chip. It's this language called Coda, which is basically takes Python, whatever, takes your programming language and convert it to something that runs optimally on their actual hardware. And the point being is there that is actually a moat, because it's a very complicated piece of technology layer, software technology layer, that only works for NVIDIA or GPUs. I think that's my rudimentary understanding. I haven't done a PhD on that topic, but according to at least what I heard yesterday, that's a technology moat, because that's kind of lock the industry and gives and for a competitor to come with their hardware and make that layer on top of that, and makes the compiler to all the other higher level computer languages to work on those GPUs. That's a technical moat. That's a challenging technical moat. Plus, you need to convince everyone else, because what was always in software, the big network effect is when you get a big chunk of developers building to your language that you own. All right, and that's what Microsoft did. That's what IBM tried to do. That's kind of the whole Apple, let's kill Flash, move everybody to our proprietary iOS SDKs, etc. And that's exactly what NVIDIA has with this Coda programming language, and the interfaces between that and Python.
It does feel a lot. Yeah, it does feel like we're having Windows advantage for many years, until something else comes along. And that, you know, and I think one of the discussions was AMD building that, but it doesn't work right now, and then they have to get everyone to go across to that. So
correct. And then so then his main point, I guess, if Sam Altman is saying that it will take $300 billion to train frontier model number, I don't know, ChatGPT 7. First of all, how much energy and where are you going to actually do it? So he says we need to talk to Canada. Second, where's all this money going to go? They need GPUs. So that's why he says, that's why, you know, NVIDIA is the top dog right now. It's definitely a space and chat. What's the phrase? When there's a gold rush, you want to sell the spades and shovels.
Picks and shovels, yeah.
Picks and shovels. There you go. So that's definitely the picks and shovel trade right now, and there's no reason to stop. There will be, because there's going to be a bubble.
Yeah. So look, I think I thought it was really interesting. I think if we can find it, we'll maybe can share the link, out there with what was discussed. But I think it's really interesting to see, I guess some of his thoughts on that. And it's nice to know that what we're talking about is also where, we're starting to see this discussion and where we could possibly go. And so that shapes a lot of what we start to think about in terms of investment. Even today, talking to early stage companies, they have a vision to take something they're doing. I can't really talk about it fully, but take something that they're doing and eventually turn that product that they have into agents to action some of the things that they're able to look at. And I think that's going to be really powerful to be able to create solutions around that. And so some of the things I've been seeing recently is being able to take images and taking those images and create something working. It's really powerful, and so the way we're going to go is going to be very, very interesting.
I don't think there's no major takeaways for like the type of businesses that we in Empress Capital like to invest in. I don't think that's changed the paradigm for us. I think fundamentally, if you're thinking that you're a small Aussie company and you've got the next OpenAI, I'd like to meet you, I'd like to see what you've got. But I think the tech titans are going to remain the tech titans, and we just seen the birth of a new one called OpenAI. So I don't think Netflix is a tech titan. I think tech titans are Apple, Google, Facebook, sure, whatever, Meta, Amazon, definitely, and then OpenAI. That's my.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say the Make 7 is yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, sure. Okay, the NVIDIA for sure. But NVIDIA really is hardware. It's not tech titan. It's just hardware. It's a different type of tech titan. Okay, so the total number of customers they have in the world is far less than what Apple and Microsoft and Google have. Okay, let's just think about implication to the mainstream market now. However, this is a new technology platform on which a lot of new applications are being built, just like cloud, like we talked about a long time. There was desktop, there's mobile, there's cloud, and now we've got AI. It's a new technology layer. It's and then people who build up solutions, vertical AI solutions on that are niche. They have an AI edge. They're going to win in their domain because of AI. We're interested in investing in them and checking them out. Am I wrong?
No, that's exactly what we think. I think these next 5 years, I think, is where those applications are going to come out. And I think the big thing is going to be, once again, is the new business models that come out of this.
So we at Empress Capital are obviously excited about AI. And if you're excited about AI, if you're building something interesting in AI, or if you want to invest in AI, talk to us. And obviously, if you like this show, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and leave us a comment. We'd like to hear from you.